AM 560, The Answer.
Here you come again.
Very, very sad, huh?
Just when I'm about
You want to talk about poverty? Take a look at the Dolly Parton story. Long before people sold their character for welfare. And look at what she did, Squirrel, aside from being talented. Her philanthropy alone accomplished more than any political program, let alone what she did as a businesswoman who will get not a lot of accolades from the frauds in our society or the Department of Agitation and Propaganda known as media, which is how they're putting lipstick on the idea that just 2 days ago, Minnesota voted to keep the dead people on the voter rolls. And you're supposed to feel that the Supreme Court trying to rein in the ability for these Democrat fiefdoms to cheat is somehow a violation of what?
A high-stakes legal battle over your mail-in ballot just landed right on your doorstep. The U.S. Supreme Court has cleared the way for President Trump's executive order restricting mail-in voting. Fox News' Dave Kinchin is live outside the Wayne County Clerk's office in downtown Detroit with a reaction from both sides tonight. Dave.
Yeah, Rip, this is a real big move here, and it's set to cause some chaos just weeks before these midterms take place. Take a look right now. Here's what happened. We'll break it all down for you. It's a massive yet unsigned decision by the Supreme Court that is the conservative majority bypassed the core question of legality in this whole matter. Instead, the justices ruled that 23 democratically run states, plus the District of Columbia, simply did not have the legal standing to sue right now. Let's take a look at video.
But it's election season, and they're so good at stealing votes. In fact, they're going to make certain they can steal them for as long as there are elections run by Democrats.
11. I recognize a member from Olmsted, Representative Quam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This is just to require the full removal of deceased people from the voters' rolls. And before you ask, well, nobody deceased is voting, the federal system at SSA has checked registrations and has flagged deceased people registering in the state of Minnesota. It's not a huge thing, but let's take care of it by
Squirrel, how does a deceased person, I don't watch those zombie shows, that Walking Dead, I don't watch any of that. How does a deceased person register to vote outside of Cook County? It's everywhere the Democrats are, which is why when you pretend that the Islamo-Nazi and Medicare for all is something people want, poppycock. It's just Democrats doing what Democrats do. Michigana!
But the whole environment was so hostile and condescending. And a lot of people have talked about the ballots that were not in the poll book or the system. And I was at a table which had a full stack of this file which said not in EPB/S, which is poll book or system. They were scanning and manually entering them, and the signatures on those sleeves were exactly alike, like a bar graph. And then they were sequential ballot numbers. They started from 2232, and sequence was something that threw me off. I'm like, how does that happen? And most of those people were from the Goddard Street, and they were being entered manually. So those were the observations that I had. I had all the details the last night.
So the stack of ballots, Squirrel, that came in from the mail, they were in sequential order. How's that happen? At least in Michigan, they had the fortitude to change the little numbers at the bottom. In Wisconsin, they didn't even bother. Same ballot numbers, just Xerox them.
Government employee has been fired from her government job for helping to rig the 2020 presidential election in Joe Biden's favor.
They had the piece in the evidence of this woman putting the same ballot through over and over and over and over until they got to 81 million. It's a lot of times.
Yep. It saved me a minute and a half.
On tape. Right on tape. Ignored for the world. And people pretended for 4 years. Legitimate.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Here's what the official report is saying. She printed 64,000 ballots in the back conference room of City Hall, room 501, for the November 3rd, 2020 election. She had city employees and others at the CTCL fill out ballots on the 4th, 6th, and other floors of City Hall. Then kicked out observers around 10 to 10:30 p.m. on November 3rd. Then brought in large amounts of ballots at 1:15 a.m. on November 4th. All illegal, unconstitutional. Number one way, however, the liberals stole the presidential election.
And that was just 2020. Now they say, well, come on. We're going to send it through the mail. You mean the post office?
Of money, nearly $1.5 million, and prosecutors say that it all started with a postal worker stealing it from the mail that they're delivering to houses, then sold to one of the organizers running this operation. So let me break it down for you. Now, this prosecutors say that Tristan Vaughn recruited 3 postal carriers to steal checks from their routes: Catherine Kilpatrick, Dracker Alexander, and Malcolm Jobert. They say Alyssa Bryant then worked with Vaughn to buy and resell those stolen checks. And just look at this money right here. Prosecutors tie these 3 checks to 3 postal workers. The biggest one, more than $1.5 million, is tied to Jobert. The indictment.
They sold $23 million, walking around in a costume, throwing the rest of the mail in a sewer. They'll be delivering ballots. And if you get suspicious in Democrat fiefdoms, there's laws against you getting suspicious.
It was in effect immediately upon my signature, number one. So in many ways, it addresses some of the anxieties around next Tuesday's election.
The bill follows a months-long dispute involving Bianco, who seized more than 650,000 ballots during a 2025 special election while investigating alleged vote count discrepancies in Riverside County.
How corrupt are we going to allow a governor and a legislature to be that they are now passing laws to stop people from finding fraud, to stop people from investigating election fraud? This is the most crazy thing I have ever seen.
Bianco
could not happen without the Department of Agitation and Propaganda. The idea that we allow government officials to outlaw investigations is the real issue at hand.
I'm Christine Frizzau. Tonight, a controversial law in California is gaining attention from coast to coast. The Justice Department asked to intervene and block it from taking effect. The law, which opponents have dubbed the Stop Nick Shirley Act, makes it illegal to post the addresses of immigration services providers.
Children, we saw one child.
Conservative influencer Nick Shirley's quest to expose fraud included him knocking on taxpayer-funded daycare centers and finding them, in many cases, empty.
We can't let you guys do so.
His efforts have resulted in many taxpayer-funded businesses being shut down and supercharged a nationwide effort to crack down on fraud, now reaching $230 billion, according to the White House. But Shirley says exposing fraud in other states, especially California, has just been made far more difficult by a bill, AB 2624. Just signed into law by California Governor Gavin Newsom. The bill was created by Assemblywoman Mia Bonta, wife of California's Attorney General Rob Bonta.
The AG, who is in charge of investigating and prosecuting criminals, had his wife create a law that forbids investigation into people breaking the law. That's the Soviet Union Brezhnev dreamt of. 312-642-5600.
He will never negotiate his constitutional rights with the government. Live free or die on The Sean Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.